it, really what I come away with, and this is having done this a long time and been in these kind of situations many times before, in seasons, we understand exactly what we can be as a football team. When you watch the tape, so many things are on there that, that express where we're going and where we can get. And I think a lot of times, these type of circumstances, these challenges, the way we've lost games, three of our games have been kind of in the same vein, yet different types of circumstances. You learn from those things. And I'm really confident that our guys are going to take to heart the lessons, coaches and players, and these are the things that are going to forge us going forward and going to make us a team that we can become. I mean, it's very obvious to me, I think when you watch the tape, all the players, all the coaches, what we're capable of. And, you've got to get there somehow, some way, and sometimes it's through adversity. And many of the, really, almost all of the circumstances are self-inflicted. These are all things that are very, very correctable. And you chase a lot of different details in football. And some of the things we were challenged with over the first few weeks of the season have been corrected and cleaned up. There's a lot of areas that we're playing much better at than we did early in the year. So, I know we're going to just attack it the same way we have. We're going to keep pounding the rock, and that rock's going to crack, and we're going to get on a roll. And I say we do it as soon as possible, Let's go. Let's have a sense of urgency. I know our players feel the same way, and that's how we'll be approaching it this week.
John, you said there seems to be some common theme. Is there a not saying an easy fix, but what needs to be done to correct these things in the fourth quarter?
Well, you go to work. You go to work at practice. I mean, so as example, you take it by case by case. So situationally, I mean, the jumping off sides on a move call, that's just shouldn't happen. We work on that. That's something we practice. Our defense does it. We practice it every week. And, it was one of those things that was really surprising. That's not something you expect to have happen. We overcame it a few times, too. We had some great blocking on our offensive line, run game and pass protection. We did a lot of good things. But that's the type of thing that I think the fact that it happened to us in this game is going to make us ever more determined and aware of it. And it shouldn't happen again. You might get them once every couple of weeks, but it shouldn't be something that happens, 4 or 5 times in a game.
Coach, on the Bellinger touchdown that made it 20-17, you guys were leading. It seemed to be another communication issue in the secondary. Was that the case, and how's the communication been better over weeks?
The touchdown?
Pulled the Giants from 27.
On the bootleg?
Yeah,
we just didn't play the coverage right. The coverage was misplayed underneath. So it's a boot pass, the way we play it, it wasn't matched correctly. It's just something that we practice all the time. We should be better at it. It was a mistake. And, we can get that cleaned up and fixed. There's going to be things in the game. There's things that happen in the game on both sides. There's mistakes that get made that get taken advantage of. And football's not perfect. Guys match the wrong guys sometimes. Their eyes are in the wrong spot sometimes. Sometimes they overplay something and something else comes in behind them. That's the nature of the game, So and sometimes you pay for it and sometimes you don't. Sometimes they pay for it and sometimes they don't. But in that case, we can play that coverage better, but just keep working on it.
John, you alluded to this with the false starts, but the illegal formation with a QB sneak. Is there any insight on what happened there? Because a layman looks at that and says, how does that happen on it's a pretty basic offensive play?
Well, I'm going to tell you, a head coach looks at it and says, how can that happen on a basic offensive play? I mean, that's still the one that I'm really reeling over. That's the one that's really churning me up. We get that done. There's a high chance we go win that football game. So it's not acceptable. It is explainable when you dig in and you see the chain of events that happened in terms of how we lined up. And then someone tries to make up for how somebody else lines up. A mistake gets made, someone tries to correct it, that's really another mistake. And then we don't finally fix it the simple way that it's taught to be fixed when something like that happens. And, and you have just a terrible error. So there's no way that should happen. That's one that I'm not going to probably get over, but ultimately it's my responsibility. I mean, I'm the head coach. I'm responsible for all that stuff. So I see it, and I got to get it right. I got to get it fixed. It can't happen, and that's not okay. So, and our guys feel the same way about it.
John, Lamar's interception of the errant snap, is that something that you've gone through situationally on what occurs with snaps that go awry or how to kind of go through? Is there a protocol kind of thought process that's coached in with that?
Yeah, I mean, the basic rule I think that Lamar would tell you and any player would tell you in that situation is that you try not to make a bad situation worse. I mean, that's always the basic coaching point. I think any coach would probably tell you that in any sport. And, many times you see Lamar come out of that and he'll go make a play, So, I have to balance that a little bit, because of the unique quarterback that we have. But that's definitely one he's going to want back. There's no doubt about it. And he's responsible about that stuff. And really, I mean, Tyler's the center, We've had a few of those this year on the road with silent cadence where we had to snap at the wrong time. So, he's in his, sixth game now? So he's got to keep working on that and clean that stuff up, and he will. Doesn't make it okay, not excusing, it makes us, it kind of makes you, it hurts. But I also am confident in him and his work ethic that he'll clean that stuff up as well.
John, do you think that at times that Lamar is maybe trying to do too much and that leads to the errors at times?
I don't know. You can describe it that way probably. In that situation, it's probably a really apt description.
John, yesterday you said that you feel like it's a lot of you guys in terms of the losses you've had so far this season. When you look at the tape and you see it's a lot of self-inflicted wounds, do you feel like that is, I don't want to say easier to fix, but does it make you feel better as opposed to when you know it's a you problem?
It's such a great question because if half of it makes you feel better about it because you can get it cleaned up, and half of it makes you feel worse about it because it's like, why didn't we have it already cleaned up, And I think we're in just a place in our development right now as a team where there's a number of moving parts, and there's growing pains that we're just having, And I never have been one to say, "Oh, you're a young team," and all that, but there's truth to that, The way we're playing man coverage. I mean, sometimes young guys, it's a new situation for them, and a route runs away from them, and it's the first time they've seen it in the NFL, and it comes open, and it's a third down conversion, where a more veteran player has had that route beat him before. In the NFL. So as a coach, I just really have to do a good job of being understanding but not accepting of those types of things. So once it happens, it's got to not happen again. And we're trying to chase things ahead of time as much as we can too, in practice and make sure they don't happen. And we've done that. I mean, a lot of guys have made a lot of good plays yesterday. I mean, defensively, numbers-wise, it's our best defensive game. Offensively, we did a lot of good things on offense, but we got to get better in the red zone. I mean, both sides of the ball. We got to get better on third down, both sides of the ball. We can't make critical errors in critical fourth down situations, both sides of the ball, if we want to win games. And we do want to win games, and we are going to get that stuff right. But there is a developmental, you've got to be forged a little bit, and we're getting forged right now, that's for sure.
John, on maybe a more positive note, Travis Jones had a much bigger role yesterday than he ever has in the past. Certainly seemed to be productive. I mean, did you feel he took a step forward in his career yesterday?
Yeah, I really do, Childs. I mean, he was. I said something to him during the week. I said we were talking about something. I said, hey, he said, how you doing or something. I said, well, what's going to make me happy? And he said, me dominating. And I'm like, exactly. We were on the same page. And he's a great guy, and he wants to be good, and he did that. Just using his hands, knocking people off the ball. That was what he wanted to do in this game, especially with the run, and he did it. Did a good job. Other things he can fix for sure, but he made a big step.
John, with Ronnie Stanley, he was in the first two series, I believe, and then he was on the third. What was that conversation like when you saw Moses go down and needing to put McCary, who you were swapping with Ronnie, on the left side to put over at the right, and then needing Stanley to play that game, and how did you assess him when he did?
Yeah, well, he did really well. I mean, Ronnie played an excellent game. Pat played a really good game on the right side too, but that was just Ronnie wanted to go in there and do it. That's how he felt about it. And when that happened, he just said, "Hey, I'm doing it. I'm going to go do it." And that's, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't say I expected it, but I wasn't surprised at all when I saw him saying he was going back out there. So, and Ronnie had a really excellent game. He played good football. The whole offensive line really played well. And there's things to clean up, like we talked about. But generally speaking, we're blocking people very well.
Coach, Kenyon Drake's performance yesterday, a breakout game. Now you have maybe Gus Edwards coming back, Justice Hill coming back, then Dobbins. You got pretty happy with your depth with your running back going down the stretch. You got to get these guys carries. Is that a good challenge, I guess?
Oh yeah, that's a really good problem to have. I mean, it's better than the other problem that we've been looking at, for a while. So I feel like our offensive line's doing a really good job of blocking the run, and our guys are running the ball. J.K.'s knee tightened up yesterday on him. He just didn't feel like he had that explosiveness, in the second half, whatever. I think he might have landed on it at some point. But Kenyon stepped up and did a great job. And, Mike didn't get the ball, but he did a really good job in the place he was in terms of he had some blocking responsibilities. But the opportunity to get Kenyon started was there. And once you get him started and heading downhill, he's really effective. He's got some speed and some explosiveness. And, it's positive. We're looking at Gus. Gus is in the mix. We'll see about this week, possibly, maybe next week, maybe Thursday, somewhere in there. And then and JK, get his knee loosened up again, and he'll be there. And Justice coming back soon, so it's a good thing.
So just to clarify on JK, he doesn't have to get any tests or anything like that. It's more just soreness and just response to the term.
Yeah, I think it's just part of. I think it's part of the. That knee is not going to be like all of a sudden. Okay, now it's healthy. This is like a process. You saw it last year. I mean, we saw it with Barkley, right? And look at him now. So I just feel like JK is pushing as hard as he can to get through it. He's a really good back right now, no question, and he's only going to get better, and he's going to get back to being and better than he's ever been before soon. What that time frame is, it just depends.
Sorry, just on a bigger picture, when you guys ran the ball as well as you did, I think there's been some criticism for why pass more than run. You guys are ripping off 8-9 yards a carry. So I guess just kind of big picture, what do you make of the kind of split that unfolded yesterday?
I think that's always the question. It's a great question, Jonas. I mean, you complete the pass, and people aren't really saying you should have run it, and you as a play caller, I always, I've never been an offensive play caller, but I've known a few, and I listen to them a lot in the headsets, and every now and then I throw a suggestion out there and they ignore me, so that's okay, sometimes they listen, but you got to kind of look at what you're facing, and you do run the ball down there, but all of a sudden that box starts to stack up a little bit, and people make determinations from their game plan standpoint that they're not going to let you run the ball down there inside the 15-yard line or the 10-yard line or wherever they decide that they're not going to allow you to run the ball at all costs. And you can still run it, and you can still try to run it and smash it up in there, and you might pop it and you might get it, or you might say, you know what, I can throw against this. And I'm going to set them up and throw. We've gone down to the 1-yard line and run it down there and not gotten it in, as you know. And why didn't we throw it? So I just think that you accept that and you look at it and you say, well, maybe we could have done something different, but also we could have executed the pass game a little better and scored. And we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm not afraid to throw the ball down there just because we've been running the ball well. But we're not afraid to keep running even into heavy fronts either. But I think a play caller has to make those decisions.
Are there parts of your passing game that are not available to you if Bateman's not out there, or is that the wrong way to think about it, I guess?
I guess I wouldn't think about it like that. I mean, there are always certain things that certain guys do better, and you try to put players, put in position things they do well, but most of the guys can run the concepts. There's always concepts. We're not losing any concepts because he's not out there, but it's one less really good player out there affecting the defense.
Is there any update on Bateman? I mean, it's been a couple weeks now, and I know initially he had said he thought he was day-to-day, but...
Yeah, it turned out to be a sprain in the foot, that, I'm going to tell you what you guys are going to say, yeah, you always say that, but he's close. He's close. We're close on a lot of guys. I mean, I'm looking forward to all those guys being back. But, he's in we'll be talking about him this week. We'll be talking about him on Thursday.
John, is there an update on Maury Moses?
Yeah, Morgan is not a serious injury. He could have come back and played in the game. We decided, I did, and the training staff kind of agreed to make sure that we played it safe with him. Expect him to be practicing at some point in time this week, and we'll see how he is for Sunday.
Was part of the determination on Moses due to the turf at MetLife?
I think all things factor in those kind of situations.
John, what have you seen from Malik Harris in the last couple weeks? It seems like he's put together some good performances, and just the versatility he's offered you guys playing more at Sam since you've had a need there with Tyus being out.
Right. It's a really good observation, Luke. I feel like he played 3 positions for us. He played Sam, he played Mike, and he played the dime backer, and did a really good job in all 3 areas. I can remember one play that I'm going to probably say something to him about, and the rest of it he was excellent. So it was a good step. He's been up most of the season. He's had a couple down less games, but most of the season he's played really well. And you know, a guy like that continues to merit more playing time.
John, yesterday, Marlon really didn't say much to us after the game. He kept repeating that he wanted to watch film, and then later he put out this tweet about insanity when you do things over and over again, expect the same results. It was kind of cryptic. Have you talked to him about it and asked him what anything I was about?
No, I haven't. PR sent it to me, but I looked at it and went, okay. You know, I'm sure if he wants me to understand it, he will. But, you know, I mean, we've given up leads in the fourth quarter, you know, 3 different games. You know, that's not something that I've ever experienced, you know, and that's something that, you know, it keeps happening. We got to get it fixed. We have to get it cleaned up. It's all of us. Like I told the guys in the locker room, it's us. It's us. Nobody else. Fans can't do it. Media can't do it. We have to do it. It's our job to get it done. And, you know, I'd say we got just the right men for the job. You know, I'm confident that we're going to get it done.
Is there a broader message to finishing, right? I mean, like that word, it's just, what is finishing and how do you practice finishing? Like as a coach, how do you kind of handle that other than honing in on the specific things that didn't go right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's part of it. And then the other part of it to me is like, I think finishing is a habit, you know. So the idea is that you finish everything. You finish everything all the time. You finish, and that's kind of the way the program is built. That's the way we built the whole operation. You finish your workout. You finish your film study, you know. In practice, you finish the play, finish the communication, finish the call, finish lunch, you know, if that applies. But, you know, you just have to finish. You have to make it a habit to finish, you know, and it's not easy because the other team's trying to do the same thing. It's not like a homework assignment where it's just me and I got to decide that I'm not going to procrastinate and I'm going to get it done. I got to get it done while, you know, I'm being attacked with somebody's trying to make sure I can't get it done. That's competition. So we'll keep fighting. We're 3-3. We're tied for first place, I guess, in our division, if you want to call it that, whatever that means. We control our own destiny 100%, and we're a really good football team. Maybe it doesn't look that way. Maybe people want to say otherwise. I like that because it gets our guys' attention, gets all of our attention. But we're capable of, and we plan on becoming a great football team. And that's our job. That's up to us to get that done.
Sean, on the red zone offense, you were saying that defenses could be stacking the box. Was that what you were seeing on the film after watching it? That they were stacking it after having some success in the run game when you were going down the field?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they were. It was a defense determined to stop the run. There's not a lot of room down there, you know. The safeties come this way on you, so they're not back as far. You can stack the box, keep the safeties back so you don't get beat and play action on some kind of a deep route, which they did a pretty good job of. They did a real good job of. But we were able to get a lot of seams in behind the backers and a lot of over routes and crossing routes. And those are things that tighten up in the red zone, you know. So that was the idea. It didn't work out for us because we didn't make the plays that we needed to make.
John, you guys started the season just on fire against the blitz, and past 3 games has been a little bit more of a mixed bag. Is that just kind of some of the negative regression that you might expect over a long season? I mean, I know you mentioned that the pass protection has done well. Lamar hasn't taken a lot of sacks against the blitz, but some of the accuracy and just the general explosiveness has fallen off since that start.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a reality, you know, and it's something we've just got to keep working on. You know, it's always going to be that way during the season. There's going to be ups and downs, ebbs and flows, but keep working on it. And, you know, I know we're capable of having an explosive offense. We had pretty explosive offense yesterday, except for points, which comes back to the red zone. Either that or you get the ball behind them and score on long plays. So people are defending deep passes, if that's kind of what you're referring to. You know, they see that and they defend them. I mean, I'd say this about our defense. Our defense has cleaned that up. You know, that was a big issue early in the year, right? And we've worked hard on that. And right now we've cleaned that up. We got to keep chasing it, you know, because every game's a new game. But I'm proud of our guys for that. So that's the way it works. It's a long season.
John, you guys are celebrating the 2012 team this weekend. I know you don't like comparisons, but would you ever say to the current team, hey, look back at that season, plenty went wrong over the course of that season, but look how it ended up?
You know, yeah, no, yes and no. I mean, it's not something I do. Some of the guys do. You know, I've heard Josh talk about that, Anthony Levine, Sam Cook, some of the guys that were here, Tucker. They mention those kind of things to the guys every now and then. I don't usually talk about that kind of thing unless it's a specific story, but it's true of any season, really. You know, we're capable of achieving everything. You know, okay, let's go to work.
John, forgive me if it was asked yesterday, but Devin Duvernay, he didn't seem to be as involved this week as he was last week. Was there anything specific in there? Was the game plan going into this week to kind of build on what you guys put out there last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a game plan. There's place for Devin Duvernay. One of our notes, to ourselves was to make sure Devin Duvernay's more involved. So it didn't get involved. It's not that the plays aren't there. It's just the ball didn't go there, Maybe sometimes it could have. Other times he was covered, So it worked out that way. But we got him on some swing passes where he did a nice job and got one key play to the right down by their bench. So, but he's the guy that needs to be a big part of what we're doing for sure.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys.